But we move on to WWE this weekend. They've got 2 shows this weekend, 2 pretty big shows. Worlds Collide, it's sliding under the radar. I think it actually has a chance to be pretty good. I think it would be really great if it, especially too because it has to do with NXT UK. I don't know why they're not holding this over in the UK while they're there. They've never had a bigger NXT UK event, and they're in the UK, and it's still going to just happen in Florida probably, and that is what takes away from the event, unfortunately.
But the unifications are good.
The pay-per-view itself, I think, could finally, if this was in front of a real live crowd of like 15,000, this could be what NXT needs as a revitalization. Obviously, Triple H is back, in charge, and things are moving in the right direction with NXT. And I think this could be the event that puts it back to the gold and black brand, that brings back the people it's lost during the 2.0 era.
Hey, and here's the thing.
But it's going to have a little bit of difficulty because it's going to be in the middle of the afternoon, so it doesn't go up against AEW All Out. And
it's a 5-match card. Pretty good. I like it. And to be honest with you, I like 4 out of the 5 matches I'm actually interested in. I gotta get your thoughts. Quick thoughts on this.
Yeah, and we got a lot.
What's your main?
We got a lot of big names in this because you got Ricochet coming down to NXT. If you haven't seen, he's going to be not just going for the world title, he's going for the North American Championship, which I think.
What's your favorite match though? Out of these,
Carmelo Hayes versus Ricochet is high on my list.
Yeah, I would put that one as my number 1 match, and I also do want to see Tyler Bate and Breaker. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I have to say I'm more interested in this tag team match for the NXT Women's Tag Team Championship than I am the main one for the WWE's main card.
Really? I go the other way.
I do drop in Nikki ASH. They've established themselves, decently over the past couple years. Obviously, it was last summer that Nikki ASH won the Women's World Championship.
Here's the difference.
Doudrop was just facing Becky Lynch at Royal Rumble for that World Championship.
Give me all the Creed brothers and Jensen and Briggs, man. Those guys are. Those guys, like those 2 tag teams are my. I know. I'm not a big fan of Pretty Deadly. I think they're. I don't know. They're like, to me. They're like. They're almost like, what is it, Breezango, almost in a different way.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of, to me, it's like, nah. And then Gallus, I don't know enough about, but I do know, I like the Creed brothers, and I do like Jensen and Briggs. Like, that's
what I like about this card is because if you have fallen off since the NXT Black and Gold brand, and you're trying to get back on, but the problem is you don't know who anybody is, this is a way to get you back in slowly because they have a lot of main roster names on this card. Like I said, like the Women's Tag Team Championships, Katana Chance and Kaden Carter, who I'm kind of familiar with. But even if you're not, Doudrop and Nikki ASH.
Yeah, they changed Canizaro's name to Chance. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm pretty familiar with her because she's been in the Royal Rumbles.
She's been an NXT mainstay. I feel like she's been there for so long. It's like people like her because she's consistent. Like, I don't think she's ever been enough to be elevated to the main roster.
And Miko Sanamora, who is the NXT UK Women's Champion, if you don't know that, or you don't know Blair Davenport, that's fine because you know Mandy Rose, who's been the NXT Women's Champion pretty much going back to the black and gold. But more importantly, you know her from the main roster. And like I said, Ricochet, you know him very well from the main roster. He's going for the North American Championship against Carmelo Hayes.
I'll flip-flop my 1 and 2. I really want to see Tyler Bate. I haven't watched enough of him lately, so I'm kind of excited to see him. And obviously, Breaker's Breaker, so... But and Breaker versus Tyler Bate. Tyler Bate again. He is somebody, even though he's been in the UK, but he was a big name even when it was the Black and Gold brand. Even though he was in the UK, the people were wanting to come to the Black and Gold side. Well, yeah, there was like him and Pete Dunne had some great matches.
Yeah,
and now it's Butch.
Well,
that's a whole nother topic, but.
So overall, this looks like a decent card.
Yeah, it'll be all right.
It's going to be in the middle of the afternoon on Sunday, so it doesn't go up against AEW. And another short card that I imagine will have maybe another match or 2 thrown in. This
is the perfect length. It's 6 matches.
And the crazy thing is we're moving on to WWE Clash at the Castle, which is Saturday night in the UK, Saturday afternoon in the United States.
Is there a match on this card you don't like? I like every single match on this card. This, to me... I think this is the show of the weekend.
I will say this much. For an event that I thought was going to be billed as a WrestleMania card when they announced it many, many months ago, and I was wondering if it was going to be essentially a bigger card than SummerSlam for the fact that they're, drawing more people and going to the UK and doing all this. I do feel like it is not being treated like a Big 5 or a Big 4, whatever event. It is in front of a stadium, but I feel like you're still getting I don't want to say like an Extreme Rules card, but something kind of similar.
But this card is good. I like this card.
It is unique to me that it is a match card, because again, this is supposed to be in front of like 60,000 people. So, it's
all
weird.
These matches
most of the time WWE
good.
goes in front of 60,000 people, like you're getting a 4-hour show. You're getting like this big spectacle.
Here's what I'll tell you. Like these 6 matches, because it's only 6 matches, you're going to have, these aren't going to be quick finishes. These are going to be long matches, not longer matches.
One night of WrestleMania isn't even this short. You know what I mean? They have 2 nights of that. One night isn't even this short.
But I'm going to say this right now. I bet you Roman Reigns and McIntyre go at least 30.
I mean, that is obviously the match that is making this card. That is what's making this the big match. I mean, they're selling this. This is what's bringing 60,000 people apparently to Cardiff, Wales, is Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns, the guy from his homeland, if you will, against Roman Reigns. But Liv Morgan and Shayna Baszler, I like to see Shayna Baszler back in the picture. She's been disappearing. She hasn't, because
Triple H is back in control of things.
So she disappeared, and I wanted to see her mixing with Ronda Rousey's back in the day, and she was right before the pandemic. She was the big number 1 contender person, going into that WrestleMania.
Things kind of fell apart.
Going against Liv Morgan. We got Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, and Asuka against Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky. I think that's kind of a filler match. 6 women's tag team match. That means nothing. Bianca Belair, that's like a house show. It's better than a house show because she's actually not defending the title in a match we know she's going to win. I think that these are the kind of matches that are needed for house shows. I would rather see this than Bianca Belair putting the title on the line at a house show when clearly she's going to win.
I think it'll still be a good match. I mean, you got six solid competitors in there, so I think that'll be good. The other match that I'm really, really looking forward to is Riddle and Rollins.
Riddle and Seth Rollins has been the best built. I mean, I would say for this.
Did you see this on Raw? Like they were talking about like real stuff, man.
Yeah,
like
and they got that whole little thing. I don't know if you caught it, but they were fighting, in the parking garage.
They made it look like it was a fan like doing it. Like,
yeah.
I will say though, kudos to thinking outside the box because, and you knew that obviously it's WWE. They were obviously trying to
thinking outside the box for not
nice.
Having a camera and then making people think like, oh, there wasn't a camera there. Yeah, well, they just shot it in a different way. It's kind of like the Blair Witch Project. You're like, this has got to be real because they're not filming it like a traditional movie.
The best part is, though, like with the technology with phones, you can get quality camera on your phones now. So, like,
but even if it wasn't quality, it's the idea that they're doing it, like I said, like Blair Witch Project style. So many people thought that movie was real because they filmed it in a real way instead of movie cameras. So they're filming this like with their phones to just give you that element of, wait a minute,
I think
there were no official cameras there.
I think it was a good piece, and I also want to add, too, that I know they obviously have to bleep it out for obvious reasons for, FCC, but I love the fact that Riddle was dropping F-bombs. That was cool. Like that. Obviously they're bleeping it out, but like you haven't seen that on TV. You haven't seen a WWE, anything in WWE where they're dropping F-bombs in a build. I haven't seen it in a long time, to be honest with you.
Now,
so
everybody's been getting their names back. Obviously, Austin Theory is back to being Austin Theory.
Yes.
Pete Dunne, he's still Butch, but he's getting more of his Pete Dunne gimmick back, I guess.
I think what's going to happen is you're eventually...
Is Gunther going back to Walter? Or do you think Gunther's staying Gunther? As he faces Sheamus for the Intercontinental Championship.
I think he's still going to be Gunther, yeah. I do.
And who do you think's winning the IC title? Do you think Sheamus is leaving? I think Gunther's probably winning.
Yeah, Gunther's winning.
Edge and Rey Mysterio. This kind of feels like a house show kind of match, if you will, leading up to something bigger down the line. Edge and Rey Mysterio against the Judgment Day, Finn Balor and Damian Priest, with Rhea Ripley in one side and Dominic Mysterio in the other. Do you see other matches being added to this card? I think this is severely missing like Ronda Rousey.
It certainly feels like, I know they already taped SmackDown.
Yeah.
That gives me the vibe that they're going to create another match on SmackDown this week.
Yeah, I saw what happened on SmackDown, but I won't lie, I forgot what I read. But
I didn't read it,
I feel like, I mean, obviously they've been doing the whole thing with Ronda Rousey. I feel like, I know like maybe Liv Morgan and Shayna Baszler are obviously in a match, but I feel like it's just such a big show that you're missing some big names. You know what I mean?
What I'm wondering, though, is do you see Charlotte Flair returning at this show?
I don't. I don't see her returning at this show. I mean, I could be wrong. And one person I don't see returning at this show because, well, the rumors are going out that he's returning on Monday Night Raw is Braun Strowman.
Glad he's back. If it is,
what does this do for Control Your Narrative? I wonder.
Control Your Narrative is going to cease to exist is what's going to happen now.
Is that what you do really think that Control Your Narrative will not succeed without Braun Strowman?
Yes. I 100%.
I mean, because EC3 still needs to do something.
Well, maybe Triple H brings him back too. You never. Triple H has been doing some interesting things, and the ratings are showing it. I do want to. Aside from the pay-per-view coming up here, one thing that I find the hilariousness in the internet wrestling community is they're like trashing Triple H's move to put the tag team belts on Aaliyah and
Raquel Rodriguez. Yes,
like. Can you just sit back and enjoy the show? Like, it's different. Like, Vince would have never done this, so it was a nice surprise where they didn't go predictable with.
And I think it was really good that they went essentially with having that be the main event, because what we've been talking about a lot is the Triple H is bringing importance back to championships.
Thank God, and the ratings are showing too. They're now that the ratings are starting to go up, and there's other reports out there that. USA Network has been very happy with Triple H and Control that they're at the point when the contract is up in 2 years, I think it is 2024. They're more apt to renew the contract.
Who's Bobby Lashley feuding with now with the US belt? Because I think that this is also missing that as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, Bobby Lashley. I mean, they were doing something with Austin Theory there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, yes. I feel like Austin Theory and Bobby Lashley are two. And maybe if Ronda Rousey doesn't show up, I think those are two names that need to be on this card.
Where's AJ Styles?
Yeah.
That's another one. AJ Styles, where the hell's he at?
I wonder where he's at, but again, Austin Theory and Bobby Lashley, I feel, are more like they're in something. So like it's weird that they wouldn't be involved, because it's not like they're just don't have a good storyline written for them. They've got kind of something going on.
I think, speaking of something going on, one little tidbit that I'm wondering that could spice up this Mysterio, Edge, and Judgment Day. Is this the time where Dominic turns on his dad? Because the seeds, I feel like, have been planted because he's not happy with the fact that his dad picked Edge over him to face Judgment Day. So I got a weird inkling that Dominic's going to turn on his dad this weekend.
Well, I mean, anything can help Dominic Mysterio, because, I mean, there's so many people who hate celebrity involvement, and yet they're all over here being like, Logan Paul is better than Dominic Mysterio. And
I think, you know what WWE's probably thinking, and we've talked about this before, too bad we couldn't have Hook. Because Hook is already better than Dominic Mysterio. Yeah, Dominic Mysterio, I mean, listen, he's doing the best he can here, but he is clearly an example of somebody who is in the business because of his name. There's really no way around that, for sure. 100%.